Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Psych.Club. It's Tom Sydney Bushnell here, aka Numbers. I've got Rachel from Writeside Blonde, and I have Tara by JANINE. Ladies, how are both of you?
Good. How are
well?
Good. Yeah, doing well. Doing well. Thank you. Okay, so there's been a lot happening, but there's a few questions that we both got for you, JANINE, in terms of the bigger picture. I'm going to start off with this one. Okay, so people do like when we kind of ask about the famous foe and the sled. It's always popular, and you always, I kind of get intuition on people, and then you always are able to confirm or give something different. So it's always exciting. I shared this picture with Rachel, but I'm gonna describe it. So I was able to be at the boxing. I was at the pre-event for the boxing with Tyson Fury. He's a heavyweight boxer. It was a great event, and I met some of his family, and I thought it was really cool. But there was a promo video, and it featured a lot of well-known people like, well, the first person, which I'm going to ask a question about, it featured David Beckham. Now, there's a guy in England called Billy Wingrove, and he's a freestyle footballer, meaning he doesn't play in the Premier League, but he can do many tricks and shots. He's very good at actually the skill level of football. And he's got a certain look, and he's very popular online on YouTube and other channels. But I saw this video of David Beckham, and I feel that it was Billy Wingrove playing him. It looked like it was either him CGI'd or wearing a mask. And I just wanted to ask what you felt on that with the cards.
So we'll ask it like, was that Beckham or was that somebody else?
Yeah, and then we can go further from there, because I think I know who it is, which I've just mentioned. But let's ask that question: was that really Beckham? Because it looked a bit different. Bex looked a bit different.
He looked very different to me.
Yeah.
So no, it wasn't Beckham.
Okay.
He was somewhere distant. He was a far distant. He's overseas from there. He's overseas and he's somewhere hidden.
Okay.
So he's either hiding, like we think a lot of the elites went into hiding, or literally they got taken somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, because he looks really depressed.
Okay.
But he was nowhere near that situation. So that is not him. And I think he's a part of this bunch. So that's my cult bunch. And it would make sense to his whole situation there, that with the wife.
Yeah. So could we look at it further? And was that Billy Wingrove either playing Beckham with a mask, or was there a bit of CGI involved? Was it the guy that I think it was?
Yes.
How do you do that, Tom?
It just comes, right? She comes, and I'm like, okay, I thought it was.
There's a bunch more cards, but they back up the yes. Okay, whoever it was plays on the good guy's side.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He's a good guy. So he looks like somebody who's, and he's also, it looks maybe a little younger than Beckham.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And this card came up, smoke and mirrors. So they're using, I think it was CGI more than a mask.
Okay. Yeah. It's very interesting. If you go to the talk, I think it was either BT Sport. I think it was BT Sport for the, the kind of all the celebs saying hello to Tyson Fury, wishing him well. The first one was Beckham. Well, that's Billy Wingrove. So yeah, brilliant. Good stuff. Well, I've got some more along that theme, but I'll let Rachel ask a few questions. And but there's been a whole bunch this last week or so it's exciting. Yeah.
All right, JANINE, I'm going to bring up some George magazine stuff just because I've been curious, and there's no way to know, right? Because it's all in the past. So I'm curious what you'll get on this. So and I'm going to give a shout out to Jetson, because I was watching some of his videos and he had some interesting theories on what happened prior to July of 1999. So I'm curious what you get on this. So his theory was that Junior and his wife were tipped off of what was going to happen. And if you'll remember, about that time, JFK Jr. had like a foot injury. He was hurt like skiing, And Jetson thinks, or his theory was that that was faked because he was tipped off that if he would have flown earlier that year, what was supposed to happen in July would have happened earlier and would have actually happened. So I'm curious if you get that, if that injury was faked. And then his next, I guess before we ask the question, his next thing was that since that first plane was tampered with, he went and bought a new plane, and that's the one that actually went down in July of 1999. So that whole theory that Jetson had, shown in his video, it seemed like pretty plausible story. So I was curious what you got on that.
Okay, so that's in the past leading up to your first question, which is, so they knew about the bad guys coming after him.
Mhm.
Definitely knew about it. That's in the past. And then this, so yeah, they put a story out there. They put a story out about him. So they made up a lie. And a lot of people were in on it. So a lot of people would have known about that. So that's interesting. I find it interesting that they don't, people don't come forward. I mean, maybe they do. Yeah, so I think you got a point there. I think we got 2 pages. So they falsified the story about the leg injury.
Okay.
Now, what would that accomplish, by the way?
Because he was supposed to fly, and since he got injured, he couldn't fly. So that was the excuse as to why he didn't fly the first time with the tampered plane.
But they didn't want him to tip off that he knew that.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
so they definitely knew, because the devil was in the background. He already knew. He knew they were going to do something. So they made that up. Yes.
Wow.
And
Good
also
job, Justin.
his card was the King of Wands, which is an actor. So he was acting.
Okay. This leads me to my next question. So after the wreckage, there's a picture of 2 officials, a man and a woman, taking pictures of the wreckage. I don't know if you 2 have seen this or not, but it certainly looks like Junior and his wife are.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
I'm curious if you get that it is them in that picture. Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's a big yes. That's like a yes.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
What a clever way of just saying like, ha ha ha, you didn't get us.
Yeah.
But
That's just a riot. Wow.
yeah. Tom, did you have some more questions before I go on?
Yeah. So I've mentioned this before, the setting. So I was in Mar-a-Lago at President Trump's home for an afternoon briefly in November 13th of last year. And I was in the library bar. Library comes to 85, comes to Awakening, comes to Storm, comes to a few other things. Even on the bad side, the name Kruger and Bar, and because you've got Nightmare on Elm Street. Elm Street is where JFK was in 1963. But anyway, looking on the positive side of things, you've got the library bar, and bar is 21, but when you add them together, it comes to 106, which comes to red pilling. Now, there's a painting in there called The Visionary. It's a painting of President Trump. It's a portrait of President Trump. And I'm looking at it, and it's called The Visionary, which comes to 165, which comes to Resurrection, comes to Christ Bloodline, comes to Remote Viewing, comes to Westminster, the city here in London, which I'm part of. And it's called, and then it's the title because it's his painting. It's Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump comes to 148, comes to Time Traveler, comes to Emmett Brown from Back to the Future, comes to Simple Gematria, which is the number codes I'm using. But you add them together, comes to 313, which comes to Lift the Veil from Your Eyes. And the interesting thing about this, Janine, is this painting has been President Trump has done maybe 4 or 5 interviews in that library bar room since I've been there in November. And each time there's been a little bit more. First of all, they were kind of not showing the painting at all. And I was like, I know where it is, but where, they're not showing it. And then there was some other people, I think some YouTubers who were doing a show and with President Trump, and they had like a little bit more of it. But when they did this interview this week with Piers Morgan, which has been all over the global news, it's been front and center. So it's been very clear. It's been right there. And President Trump, I think they've been putting that for a reason. I guess there's a two-part question. One, the first part is, has that been a com in reference to the numbers I did on it before about lifting the veil from your eyes? Because we want this, you know, we want the veil to be lifted. Everybody wants to see what's going on. Is that a com from President Trump, from the universe, that they were showing his painting, the beautiful portrait of him wearing either cricket or sailing clothing? So he's in this white jumper, pullover, sweater, whatever you want to call it. Was that a com from him, and or from you know, the universe, from the white hats, that things are getting closer?
Yeah, I think he was dissing, he was showing, first of all, disapproval of that guy that he was having the interview with.
Yes.
And he was kind of trying to say, we won, I won, we're winning, we're like, that's a winning card.
Got ya.
So it's a bit of a strut. So you could call that a com, I guess. It was a
Okay.
strut of we're in charge, we're on top, we're in the open, we're something.
Yeah.
Like it's come
Okay.
full circle, something's come full circle, and they were
Yeah.
literally showing off. Like,
Got ya.
Yeah.
Second part of that question is, because you might not remember this, but about maybe 9 months, a year ago, you and me did a show together, and there was a com on. I was thinking at the time that Piers Morgan, the interviewer, was working under President Trump's direction now. It seemed like he'd maybe played both sides from what you were saying, but he was definitely under the bidding of Trump. And when I saw the recent trailer for the video, the interview before the full interview came out a few days ago, President Trump spoke at an event in Florida, I think it was. He's done a lot of rallies, but kind of in the middle of the week last week, he spoke at an event and he started talking about Tom and Morgan. And it's the same people that we referred to on the code about 9 or maybe even 12 months ago. Talking of what you're saying, President Trump's kind of saying, you know, it's come full circle and we're winning, or we've won. One phrase he said to him was really interesting, and he said basically he's more on his person than Piers is, and Piers was like, well, why is that? And he said, I don't think you're real. President Trump just said, you're not real. And I thought, he's telling everyone he's not real. And then Piers joked and he went, why am I not real? And then they went on to the next part. So my direct question is, was President Trump telling us that was not Piers, that he's not real?
so he was telling the truth. Both these cards are really honest. He was
Okay.
being direct and honest. So that was, you had to take it literally. So he literally is not Piers Morgan.
Okay. Okay.
So I'd say yes. Whoever it was, it'll come out who that was. Somebody's gonna dig it up. Somebody's gonna somehow show us who that was. Yeah, that's in the near future. But whoever it was slightly younger, and somebody acting as him.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, did he do a good job? Did you see it?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it's different. It looks, sometimes you can see and it's like, oh, that looks like someone else. This one really does look like Piers. The only thing that's slightly different is the hairline is slightly different, but very different. It's like, there's almost like a slight kind of quiff of a parting. It's still got his hair, but there's just a slight line that looks different. That's the only thing that I could see that maybe looks different. But other than that, it looks pretty bang on from what I've remembered with Piers.
So they did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Can we look? Are there any more on the cards in regards to what, like, where Piers is? Was he working with? You know, was he doing a deal with President Trump, or has he been swapped out, or is he somewhere else?
Okay, so Pierce has been involved in bad things.
Okay.
Party substance card next to the devil, not looking good. Okay, and
Right.
we've got the death card on the back end. So, but that was in the past, and he slowly moved out of that bunch. So he's been involved in the past, but he moved over at some point, maybe even years ago or a year ago.
Okay.
Oh, he's, it looks like he's trying to save he probably made a deal to save his reputation for the sake of loved ones or
Okay.
something. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily something he willingly, like he knew he had to do it.
Okay.
I think he liked being a bad guy.
Okay.
So I don't know what I got on him before, but this is what I'm getting now. So
Okay. So the peers that we saw that wasn't him, that President Trump said, you're not real. Is it possible to see, is the real one still kind of doing TV, or is he elsewhere? Is he at a spa or anything like that? Or
I wonder if he's not on World,
okay.
whatever that means, right? This is a completion card. His
Okay.
work in the movie is complete. So
Okay.
he off World, he could be in the South Florida spa, south of Florida spa, he's totally somewhere else, I think, or maybe even not on World. And we
Okay.
got this creative, they're being really creative with how they show him. I don't think he's here on the earth, let's just say.
Okay. I'm beginning to think, well, why has he got this new TV show, this new talk show? And the premise of it is bringing people back in the public eye that have been kind of cast out because they weren't towing the line or visually towing the line. I'm wondering if it's a white hat production that is going to be able to red pill. That's the feeling I get.
It seems like it makes sense.
Feels like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's going to be deeply hidden. So it's an undercover sort of going to behave like the old system, but actually bring out truths. And like, why else would Piers Morgan interview Trump? Like, I know he's a really big name and everything, but it's not like that seems like a given that he'd do that. I don't know. Or he'd even do a show like that. Why would he do a show like that? He's a butt kisser, he's not going to do a show of passed outs. That doesn't seem, I don't know. That's just what I get about Piers Morgan. But anyway, it's under deep cover, but it's a yes.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah. There's more along that theme, but go for it, Rach.
Okay. All right. This is an astrology question. I don't know much about astrology, but I know you do, Janine. And on the cover of George, the logo itself, the first G and the E are connected. So I was like, but then in later issues, it's not connected. They're separate. So I didn't know if that in itself was a comm. I was looking for different symbols that have two circles, and I found the opposition astrology symbol, which is two circles with a line connecting them. Kind of looks like a barbell.
Yeah.
So then I was like, let me look up some birthdays. So ironically, JFK Jr.'s birthday, he is a Sagittarius, and the George that this magazine was supposedly written about is a Gemini, which are opposition to each other. Yeah. So I'm curious if that was a comm, if he was trying to, in the logo of his magazine, try to point out that he's in opposition with this certain George and kind of like nod to, yes, this is the George that the magazine is about, not who everyone thinks it is, which is George Washington.
Interesting. Also, we could be saying this is in like everything you believe is reversed or opposite or
yes,
mirror images, because the other way you could read that is a mirror image of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why, if the logo just changed, if they got a new, front cover artist and they just thought it looked better if the GE, if they weren't connected, but it just seems kind of random that they were, and then all of a sudden they're not. You would think the logo would stay true to its original, rendering.
Feels like there's something hidden there. So they're putting a hidden meaning there.
Okay.
That would be like they've hid something, and they're hoping certain people notice it from far away. So it does feel like some kind of a message out there, but it may not be per se for everybody. So there, okay. I think it actually has something to do with a message to somebody that maybe we don't know who that person is.
Okay.
It's from this guy to this person, a woman. So they were sending a message with the change of the logo, and I have no idea what the message was, but that's what it's saying.
I haven't
Uh,
pinpointed the month of when it stopped. Oh, that looks interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. So it definitely had, like, there was a dangerous situation around somebody and they were trying to warn them. So isn't that weird? They would actually do that. I have no idea how that would be a warning, but
Hmm.
maybe, okay, you're together with this person, you need to get apart.
Mhm. Is that how it works too with like the opposition? So I'm a Gemini as well. So my opposition would be a Sagittarius. Can you explain like what does that mean exactly in astrology?
They're really attracted to each other. They have a lot to learn from each other. They're like mirror images. So they do things differently, but they want the same result. But they'll go about it in exactly the opposite way.
Okay, so it doesn't mean like you're opposed to them. It means you're almost mirrored images of that person.
You could even be really attracted to them.
Interesting.
Yeah, because your opposites attract, right? So you got the negative and the positive energy. Usually you're really attracted to your opposite. Like I'm a
Okay.
Taurus and you know what I mean? Scorpios in my beginning dating life were always who I was attracted to. Do you know what I mean? So as you get older, you start moving more into other parts of your chart, but
Mhm.
initially opposites always attract.
Okay. And then my last question, I'll throw it back to Tom, is that George, the name of George, there's a lot of speculation as to who the George was. Was it George Washington or perhaps the George Senior? So I'm curious what your cards say on that.
Who's George Senior? What do you mean George Bush?
George W. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay. I wonder if those two Georges were somehow related.
I wouldn't rule it out.
Do we have bloodline relation there?
Could be.
Yeah, because it's kind of going back and forth here. I'm not really getting it's one or the other.
Okay.
It's kind of going back and forth. And then I asked, well, what's, why is it going back and forth? Could be related, and then this card. So family relations, maybe. Maybe they included, maybe it's sort of making comments about both of them.
Interesting.
So George, and the other one, Rachel? The two Georges, what?
Well,
Washington.
yeah, Washington, like there's a little hidden George Washington on every cover. So it's supposed to be about George Washington,
Okay.
but the speculation goes that he was actually calling out his father's.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, Tom, your turn.
Talking of George Washington, actually, when you do Donald J. Trump, Donald J. Trump is 148, simple gematria, and that's the title of that painting. But when you include the dot is 39, which is Angel, which is Jackie, it's the number 10, TEN, Big Ben, the clock. But if you add that, it comes to 187, which actually is George Washington. So that's kind of interesting that talking about George Washington. Okay, so going back to this theme of the people that I've noticed in the last week, and that some of them I've met actually. So Tyson Fury was the boxer that won the boxing at the weekend, and he's got some interesting numbers. So his name's Tyson, but it comes to 93, which comes to Bushnell, my last name, comes to some numbers for Rachel with 93. 93 is kingship, and he's known as the Gypsy King. Gypsy is actually 92, which is numbers. King is 41, which is USA. Alien, TSB, my initials, coin, good. There's lots of stuff around it. But anyway, I met him briefly, shook his hand. I met his father, but I was doing a little interview on the side with one of the world's strongest men. His name's Thor. He's an Icelandic guy. Just did a little quick interview with him on Saturday, and I was wondering what the result of the boxing would be. And I said to Thor, "What do you think? Think it will be an uppercut or a hook?" And I just kind of said, I hadn't really pre-thought it. I just came out with it. Anyway, it was an uppercut. An uppercut comes to 120, which comes to the truth. So he won. And he's done a lot of interviews, actually. He seems like he's fine from the fight. He's done a lot of interviews. He actually did one with Piers Morgan just a couple of nights ago on this new show. And Piers seemed like he deliberately mentioned that Tyson was friends with President Trump. So I've got to say, when I met the Tyson family, I met his father, John, and John's a rough guy, got a lot of kind of history, etc. But I've got to say, I really liked John Fury when I met him, and he was just really kind of an honest guy, stand up, look you in the eyes, talk to you. But the uppercut, yeah. And then so when Piers Morgan got Tyson on the show, he brought out that Tyson is actually friends and knows President Trump. And I'd kind of been feeling this. I'm like, I wonder if he does. I want, what the deal is. And then Tyson was asked by Piers, do you think that President Trump would win presidency again if he ran? And Tyson Fury, the world champion boxer, in a stadium of 94,000, 94 is John. It's also November. He said, yeah, if President Trump runs again, I think he'd win easily. And they're friends. So Tyson Fury and Piers and Donald Trump are friends, and Piers Morgan was the one that had to bring that out on his show. So I do think it's red pilling. But I wanted to look at that, that relationship with with Tyson Fury and President Trump. What's the deal with that?
Well, just think about it. The upper, what did you call it?
Uppercut. So it's when you punch like that, uppercut. Yeah. Uppercut.
And it comes to the truth. So the truth.
120. The truth. Yeah.
The truth wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
The truth is gonna win, you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Yeah, you can't really make stuff like this up.
No, it's just there. It's happening. And it's like, okay, brilliant.
Synchronicity. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
let's have a look. So we're looking at this fellow you're talking about and
Yes.
Trump friendship.
Yeah, Tyson Fury, the boxer, and Trump. Because Piers has been kind of ordered to tell the world that they're friends.
So this, just to make sure, this Tyson guy, he wouldn't be a white hat or anything, but he's definitely independent. He
Yeah.
loves sovereignty and freedom. He's a freedom-loving person.
Yeah.
To call them friends might be a bit of a stretch. Sometimes they haven't agreed on things, but they have a, connection for sure. And they haven't seen each other for quite a while, or they don't talk all the time or whatever, but they definitely know of each other.
Okay.
And we've got the 2 and the 6. He's like sort of a fence sitter for, he's not consciously working on the part of the White Hats, but I think if they called him in and told him what was going on, he'd work on their behalf for sure. So it feels like he's a good person, and he does appreciate Trump, but I wouldn't call him a really good buddy with him, and you know what I mean. But he's being put on the spot on a television show, so he knows him. He thinks he's okay, but he has some issues with him. So I don't think he knows that good to get a card like that. I don't think not to say if he knew better, he wouldn't have those issues, but then we've got this card. So it's a small connect, they've been connected, but I wouldn't call it a big friendship.
Okay, that makes sense. That's clarity. So when you talk about him being sovereign, that makes sense, because he's a traveler, he's a gypsy, he's known as the Gypsy King, and all of his family are, they're independent, they're sovereign, and so that makes sense that Tyson would be that. And also when you said if he was let in for more information, he would then work with him. That makes sense.
I think if he was let in on what was going on, he'd be on board.
Okay, that makes sense. Maybe that will happen in the future. Talking of another boxer, so you might have heard of him, Lennox Lewis. He used to be the world heavyweight champion, undisputed, and he's a friend of President Trump's, and he was on I think there's more of a friendship between Lennox and him. They know each other, I think, more than Tyson would. And he was on Celebrity Apprentice. So
Mm.
Piers was one of the judges on that, or no, competitors. He was judge on one of them, and also a competitor because he won it. But Lennox appeared on the Celebrity Apprentice under President Trump, and Lennox was at the boxing. He was at the pre-match boxing event, which I got to go to, and I wore this T-shirt, Janine. So this one is 88, which is Trump, and then MPH is miles per hour, which comes to 88 miles per hour is Back to the Future, time travel. But the words time travel come to 88 plus MPH. So it comes to 125 time travel, which is dark to light, which is John Kennedy, which is 8th Avenue, which is where the Tesla Hotel is. And this weekend, there's a boxing match featuring 2 women, actually. It's like the biggest women's boxing match at Madison Square Gardens. The piece I did with Mark Atwood about the Batman review, that's a feature focal point in the end of the Batman film, the Madison Square Garden. So everything's all kind of connecting. But Lennox Lewis, so I got to the front where he's being interviewed, and I'm saying to him, Lennox, 88, 88 Trump. And I've got it on camera, and he looks and he goes, yeah, 88. And then he comes over and kind of fist pumps everyone a little bit later. And I say, Lennox, 88 is Trump. It's your buddy. It's Trump. And he's like, yeah. So I don't know how much consciousness he got on it, but I felt the interaction we had, it definitely was positive. And I just wondered, does Lennox know a lot about, Trump's plan, or are they just still kind of friends? And would he be called in if needs be? But I got a good vibe with Lennox, and he was enjoying the numbers.
He's definitely friends, and like you said, more friends than the other 2. There's more of a camaraderie there.
Yeah.
They've had more of a connection.
Yeah.
And but he's somewhat let in on what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a lot more in like knowing. Like the other guy was the 2 of Swords, which is on the fence and not knowing. Doesn't really know, wasn't let in on. This guy's been let in on some of the stuff.
Okay.
So you've got temperance, patience, and perseverance. So down the road, I feel like he might actually even have a part to play somehow, or be involved, or when things really hit the fan, maybe he steps up and helps Red Pill or whatever. For now, he's sort of undercover, but he's more involved by far than the other guy.
Okay. That makes sense. That does make sense. The funny thing with this as well, Janine, is this is an aside issue, but the guy that was interviewing him is a British guy called Steve Bunce. And this guy interviewed me years ago on the radio about something else. So that was quite funny. I was like, oh, there's the guy that interviewed me, and here's Lennox. And I'm like, 88 Trump. He's like, yeah. So anyway, that's good. That's good comms. Good comms on it.
I asked what he thought when you were saying 88. He knew it had something to do with Trump. Well, I guess you said Trump.
Yeah.
But he knew what you were getting at anyway.
Awesome. Well, everyone, check out the link. It's just it's about not long, maybe 8-minute video or so, 9 minutes. But you'll see it. You'll see Lennox Lewis, the great boxer, and he did it twice. I got him to 88 Trump. He's like, yeah, and then a few minutes later, when he gives the fist pump to everyone, he's like, yeah, and he didn't object. It was good. It felt good. So that's cool. Thank you for that, Rachel.
Okay, I have a question about Tom and me. So I live in Iowa, 48's Tom. I can't say where I grew up, but we'll just say that the numbers of where I even grew up are heavily involved with Tom's name. And it's like everywhere I look, I see 488, which to me says Tom and Trump mixed together, like they're going to work together, or he's on that team, I call Tom my ascension buddy because I don't know what else. I'm like, we were meant to be
ascension buddies. Yeah.
We're ascension buddies. I'm curious, have we known each other in another life? Have we been like on the same team before, and we are meant to meet in this lifetime again? Because it certainly seems obvious that in this lifetime, at least, that we were supposed to meet and be on the same team.
Yeah. You guys have been fighting these guys for many lifetimes. So that's the deep state dark cult card. And you guys agreed to come back in these times and fight them. You might have even been off planet together. in some other incarnation on another planetary and or however it works. I don't know exactly how it works.
Wow.
Still up in the air about, are we living on a planet? I'm not sure. But yeah, so in some other, like maybe not on the Earth plane is what I'm going to say. And I'm even going to say with this card, possibly you know each other in future times, so that because this card can mean our future selves. So you've connected in the future and the past is what I'm thinking, which is quite interesting. And now you've come together in this level here. So I think we're doing a lot of different time frames at the same time. Like it doesn't work just in a straight row. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
were even in one lifetime siblings, I'm thinking.
Yeah, there you go. I was going to say, because she's like my ascension sister. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like you were little kids together, like at one point.
Wow.
That's really cool. I've been wondering that for so long, and it feels like that's what I feel like. I've known him for a long time, and the numbers came to me, and then ironically I find him on video. Then he just shows up in Iowa of all places, and then the numbers, when you do the numbers, it's crazy. So I just feel like, yeah, I'm not surprised by what you found, but I just wanted confirmation.
I get in the little kids together, so you grew up together, but I don't think you were from the same family. I feel like you were in the same community, but made really best friends. And I asked where, and I get her if it's a location as she's Irish or Scottish. So somewhere like that. She's my Celtic.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. You did a few weeks ago with me and Michael Jaco, and I asked, Michael was doing all the kings that he'd been, and I said, was I some kind of king? And you're like, yeah, you were a Celtic king. You had this copper crown. And
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
You got some connection there for sure, but it looks like Rachel, you do too.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. And copper crown comes to 146, comes to Ivanka Trump. And you've done readings about me and Ivanka before. So yeah, maybe all three of us all knew each other. You know what? I'm going to take this a little further, Janine. If you're happy with the question, did you, me and Rachel know each other beforehand? Did we do these missions before or in the future and in the future?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just looking at some details here. Okay, so possibly in a really scary situation where we had to hide or protect each other.
Okay.
So we were in some kind of danger. So that sounds like we were fighting the darkness again.
Okay.
Yeah, we got out of it, but it was a lot of work. So we probably were in a intense, scary situation where our lives were in danger, but we got out of it, but it took a lot of work.
Wow. Does it give any kind of detail on maybe where or a time frame, you know, how far back in history?
So it was in a different culture, very exotic to hear. And what popped in my head was I get some kind of an Asian culture. I think we were being kept for the bad guys. So we were being, maybe we were imprisoned or something. Bad guys, so dark culty type energies or entities, or there's so many words you could use for that, but you know, like some of that darkness that we're now fighting was who put us in danger, let's say. But it was in a culturally very different from any of our now cultures. And I just got this feeling of Asia. And yeah, there are a lot of karmic necessity to be doing what we're doing was developed in that lifetime. So in other words, I think we were badly abused by them.
Right.
And but I've had lots of lifetimes of that with my Scorpio moon. So it sounds like you guys were involved in some of that.
And then we worked together to get out of it, but it was a fight.
So we're like doing battle together again.
We reconnected. Yeah.
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 I must say, the very first episode I did with you, I did somehow just feel some kind of familiarity with you. I was like, oh, Janine, yeah, Janine, okay. And I didn't know who you were prior to that. I was like, okay, bingo.
Yeah. Sometimes,
And I felt,
yeah.
no, go on, sorry.
Sometimes you can tell right away. Like there's a comfort level, like
Yeah,
it just feels, even though it makes no sense because we've never met
Yeah.
in person or whatever, but you can just feel comfortable with the connection. And I felt like that with Rachel too.
yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah, I did. I saw
Yeah.
Rachel in, like, when you said I just walked into your gin joint in all the places in all the world I walk in, and I was looking at Rachel. I was like, oh, it's her. It's like an old friend from school. That's what it felt like, you know. So
Yeah, Tom, you were about the last person I expected to see there, just so you know. Like, what? He lives in the UK and he's
I
in
know
Iowa.
That's funny.
it's crazy.
Janine, you posted on your Telegram that Mark Atwood YouTube with the Pleiadian, and I watched it. I can't
Mhm.
remember the guy's name.
Kent
Dunn.
Dunn. Yeah, Kent Dunn.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that the reincarnation machine, I think as he referred to it, has been shut off. Did you hear that part, or am I making that up? I'm pretty sure he said
No,
something.
you said that, yeah. You know, I gotta be honest, like on further examination,
Yeah,
with the cards, I get he is a Palladian.
Mhm.
That part I got right away. But a lot of the stuff he says, I think he's gone off the program of whatever he was sent to do. I think he's gone rogue.
yeah.
Okay. I had so many questions after watching that video, and I couldn't wait to talk with you again about it, because I was like, whoa.
I'm not going to pick him apart or anything. I think he brings some interesting perspectives, and some of it's right on. But I think he's gone off the track.
Okay. I was so confused after watching that. It just really, you know, you try to keep an open mind with stuff, but that was really, my mind was really like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
mixed in, you get your ego mixed in, you get your human self mixed in, you get your, who knows? Yeah. So you got to stay sort of spiritually working on yourself to stay like you're channeling the right stuff. I'm going to just leave it there. Yeah. But I'm not trying to like,
Yeah.
whatever. I think he brings some cool stuff, and he in the past has really opened a lot of people's eyes. So, and he, yeah, the guy's a Palladian. And I think there's a lot of people here that aren't what we call entirely earthlings.
Yeah.
How, I would love to know how you would find out if you are, because you know, if you are, you can't tell. I looked at that guy and I was like, he doesn't look different to me. He just looks like some Southerner that likes country music. So I don't know how you would ever find out, but I don't know.
I think you can ask yourself if you're open to knowing, for you personally, if you're open to knowing, or are you talking about how do you know with others?
Well, yeah, just in general. I mean, with ourselves and then with others too.
I think the veil's going to start dropping, and we'll start picking it up a lot easier. I mean, using a tool can help if you can be objective enough.
Mhm.
So hopefully I can be like, I wasn't looking at him thinking anything. I hadn't even seen any of his work before. I didn't even finish the interview. I just threw cards on. I said, yeah, the guy is a Palladian, but that's as far as it went, because a lot of what he was saying, I thought was off his program. So he had a program that he was sent here to do to help in these times. I think he might have stepped off the track a bit.
It was kind of funny watching Mark's, you know, when he would say something, he would just sit there and he's like,
I'm going to talk to Mark on May 1st, so I'm pretty excited about it.
oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that your birthday, Janine, as well?
Yeah, it's my birthday. Yeah, it'll be a fun
Awesome.
birthday present because I love Mark Atwood. I don't know, I think he's a really cool guy. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy you set that up, Tom. That'll be super fun.
Oh, pleasure. Well, happy birthday. There's a nice little happy birthday
early
for you.
birthday.
So, actually, talking of, so I've got some other ones along the theme what we were doing, but I want to ask this one. So, Pleiadians, in general, here on the Earth, what percentage of people are human? Can we ask that? Like, because he was suggesting that, you know, there's only 100 million humans and the rest are kind of from all over the place. So
Yeah, that's
Well,
mind-blowing.
Ashley and I did get that most people here weren't from here. When we looked at the origin of man, we were brought here. That's what we got. So it's like, what? That was news to us. But that, yeah, I'm starting to think, you know. And
Wow.
today's deep dive that Ashley and I put out, we did it last night, but we were looking at some certain scrolls that were found that sort of tell you supposedly the real origins of Jesus, and that'll be an eye opener for a lot of people.
wow.
Okay, so what do we got here? We got the Queen of Cups, we got the 9, we've got the I think we got about a lot. We got a lot that aren't from here. Like 70% or
Really?
goodness, there's a 7 around it. And we've got this ace. So there are some people from here, which interesting. So if they did bring people from off world, which is what we got, maybe there was still some original people here, energies here, I don't know. But so that's what that's looking like. There's still some, but there's a whole bunch who aren't. And then this card would also indicate there could be a whole bunch that would be mixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so mixed all kinds of things, which isn't that what a lot of people say? They say there's like 22 different DNAs or like cultures mixed here from other other galaxies and stuff. Who was saying that? Somebody was saying that. That's pretty well known in the world of galactic understanding, let's just say. Yeah, they say that we're mixed with so many different, and that's why the dark ones love us, because they got this whole jewel box of other DNAs.
Can we drill into that a little further, Janine? So if people are human, I'm thinking that maybe even people that are human came from somewhere else before they got here. That seems logical to me, unless they just, you know, got created here and that was it. So I'm wondering, yeah, what is a human? Is a human a kind of crossbreed of many other places, or is it just authentic and original to the earth?
No, it's looking like we all came from somewhere else.
Okay.
It's looking like we came from somewhere else, but maybe we've been here so long we could consider ourselves human.
Okay.
It's another way to read that, right? Even with that H in the background of that other one, I feel like some people would be considered human, but they look like they're made up of all kinds of mix of all kinds of, and this is what this is looking like too. It like this came from somewhere. We might have been placed here. And so ones placed originally might be considered humans and then mixed with all kinds of other entities coming and going. I think it's way different than we've been told, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's been a lot of intermingling, let's say. That's a marriage card. So creating offspring kind of card.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this judgment card. So I think that's been going on for millennium. So I think now we got all kinds of really interesting mixes. So who's a human? I mean, do you feel human? I mean, are you living here on the earth? Then you're a human right now.
Yeah.
You incarnated in this body. And if your body doesn't shapeshift into a lizard, I guess that makes you a human.
Yeah. Can I ask?
Things are getting crazy.
So maybe that is, yeah. If you've been in the game on Earth for a long time, then yeah, you're a human.
Yeah, kind of like I'm a Calgarian because I've been here for so many years, but I wasn't born here.
You're what? Sorry, say again.
I'm a Calgarian, so
Calgarian. Yeah,
I would consider myself a Calgarian, but I wasn't born in Calgary, right? I came from somewhere else and birthed somewhere, like I made works like that.
Yeah, maybe that makes sense, doesn't it? We can all relate to that example.
Yeah.
Can I look at it further? So can we find out where did I come from? Am I a long-standing human, or am I fairly new to the game, or any other places played, or some, you know?
Okay. Yeah, you're I would say a hybrid of some kind here. We got two different communities meeting and being together and making you. So no, you're not entirely one or the other. Now, this is weird. I get the sun involved, the sun. I wonder if there's any energies that come from the sun.
Huh.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the sun, and then we've got judgment. So some kind of wake up call. This is going to be a really big wake up call to who considers themselves humans. Are I have a feeling it's just the cards trying to say, just because of your question, almost all of us could be intermixed with off-worlder type energies, or intermixed even with two different kind of energies, and none of them are originally from here. I don't think we evolved from apes, that's for darn sure.
No.
And I feel like the Adam and Eve story, there's way more esoteric meaning to it. Because apparently original biblical Adam. So if you watch the show Ashley and I did, we looked into it, but there's these scrolls that were found, and they actually indicate, and if they're true, and they were, that the original Adam in the Bible was actually an off-worlder.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So that's maybe how humans were placed here. And so that story could have some traces of sort of the storyline.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that snake got involved. So that could be where the lizard people come in. And like serpent type got involved. So Eve has a child with the off-worlder and also a twin. Because that can happen. You can actually have twins from two different dads. That is a rare thing, but it happens with women. And so now she's got sort of the Cain line and the Adam line.
Yeah.
So maybe that's how we separate the humans from the non-humans. Could be officially known as, the Canaanites, and or because they don't really have a lot of the traits of humans because of some of the stuff they're willing to do.
Yes.
And where their priorities are. It has nothing to do with regular humans.
Yeah.
Right.
Juan talks about that. He talks about that whole thing of Eve having child with the serpent and then one with Adam. So he talks a lot about that.
Anyway, it looks like you're definitely mixed up with something.
A mix.
You're a mix.
I'm a mix.
and maybe remember the whole idea of Ra came, that Ra sun god in Egypt. I wonder if you have some of that going on, because they say that that energy came from the sun.
Huh.
So you got something like that involved in your DNA, and then what could have been maybe from the original Adam line, because this would be a really strong, powerful, so some kind of human energy that's been here a really long time, maybe from the beginning. But I think they all kind of got put here.
Was that a lion in that second card?
Yeah. And this is because I said, well, what's the mix? So the Ra sun god, so they could be a planet from a planet. Okay.
Yeah.
That could be a sun-like planet. And then you got, she's very earthy and energetically grounded in earth and powerful. She's very powerful. So a powerful line, we could say.
Yeah.
So that's been here a really long time.
Huh. That's interesting you're saying that, Jenny, because I remember hearing ages ago. So when you talk about the sun god Ra, is there a connection there with Egypt in that then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the word gypsy, I think I've been told, comes from Egypt. And I've been told somewhere along the line, there's kind of a rumor in our family think on my dad's side that we were somewhere along the line, we were gypsies at some point. And I'm wondering, even that connection with Tyson Fury and his dad, I felt this kind of instant, kind of almost like a camaraderie, just kind of a familiarity with them. And that's interesting. You brought that thing up about the sun and Ra. This is a wacky question. The Furies, because Tyson comes to 93, it's Bushnell. Bushnell comes to kingship. You've got the sun god Ra in Egypt, the pharaohs. Is there any connection between my family and the Fury family, maybe a few generations back? It's just a question that's popped into my head, and I'm like, okay, let's ask the question.
And then let's ask where Rachel's coming from.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the Furies have the very same combo.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, there's something connecting there.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Wow. Things are way different than you think, hey?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at Rachel's, because Rachel, you got a real interesting energy to you and look to you. Oh yeah, you're definitely exotic. So the real and lots of different like combos here. Like this is not just two like main ones here. You got a whole bunch of things going on. And I get one of them connects to, and this is going to sound funny. Right, this guy connects to Neptune. So I don't know what entities come from Neptune, but I'm getting a Neptune and a bit of Mars here.
Interesting.
Yeah, but those might be sort of dominant, but you got a real exotic mix of, yeah, you would be really fascinating to study, probably for somebody who's into DNAs, who knows about these kind of things, like off-planet-y kind of DNAs.
It's interesting because I just have plain old blood type. You hear about the AB negative and all the special. And then one of the previous shows, you're like, you're of that bloodline. And I'm like, a bloodline, it must be something not like 3D, my blood type as it is right now, because I don't have that special. I have one that's really common actually. So I've always just felt pretty, standard.
I get there's way more to it, right? So this is telling me a lot of it's hidden in what maybe people call junk DNA or something. What they're not recognizing about. So they're not going deep enough into DNA to, like, there's probably ways to do it, but we don't do it generally. So just reading your blood type's probably not going to do it. There's way more to it, way more hidden to it. It's way more hidden in things that they're not really looking for just on the surface. They're being really surface about it. I'm sure there's ways to really delve into it. Maybe once humans are ready to know that, because that takes it to a whole nother level. Like most people listening, if they were just tuning into this and they hadn't heard any of this, they'd think we were totally nuts, right? Think about it.
Yeah.
We must be absolutely off our rocks. But if you've been kind of delving into this, it starts to make some sense. You're like, okay, by degrees. So I think we need a few more big disclosures before we're really ready to delve into that and really know how to discover. But I think we'll discover a lot of this later.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I've talked to Tom before about, just think of where we were in 2020. And then, the year goes by and how much you learned in that 1 year. And then from last year to this year, how much we've learned, and to know that we're going to keep learning every year. We're going to not stop learning. So I'm excited for what comes next, like what we keep learning. Like you said, there might be some other big thing that happens and the veil gets lifted a little more and we learn more about ourselves, but it's exciting.
Yeah. I've got a question about, so in America, you've got this movement, America First. I think it's global because America First is 122 millennium, comes to Kansas City as well, but millennium 122. I'm a similar branch of movement, I think, will happen in the UK and around the world. I have a specific question about this. So going back to the Furies, John, the father, he seems like he's kind of, he's the patriarch of that family. And I've learned recently that he's looking to run for office. He'd like to become the mayor of Manchester, and to do that in 2 years' time. I'm wondering, will he become the mayor of Manchester? Is he kind of part of the America First, but here in, Great Britain First kind of movement?
I think he has a really good shot at it. Some things have to go down first, and there's all kinds of sort of things around the situation that have to happen first. So he's one of two that could. So him and one other person are like in the running here for how it stands now. But I get he has a really good shot at it.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got it takes here all the foundations. He's been laying the foundations, or he just naturally is connected to the foundation. So there's the universe isn't saying he absolutely is, but he's got a really good shot at it. And some other things that just have to fall into place first. Depending if they get put into place first, that'll give them more of a chance.
Can I ask another question about who I might think the second one is? The other one. Is it Gary Neville? Is Gary Neville the other one that could get it?
Yeah. Yeah. Looks like he's already looking at it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your intuitiveness, Tom, I think is getting better as time goes on.
It is, yeah. It's good.
Yeah. Wow.
But Gary Neville, interestingly, he is actually very well known. He used to play for Manchester United. He used to play with Beckham. He was one of his best friends. But Gary's quite outspoken, and he's got a massive platform. And John is outspoken. He's got still a big platform. So it's interesting that those two could be the ones. Yeah. I don't even know if Gary's mentioned it. Simon Jordan, who I mention a lot with Talk Sport, has just this is another question. Will Simon Jordan go for Mayor of London?
It's a possibility, but it's still up in the air on that one.
Okay.
There could be some issues in the family around somebody passing over, not him, but that could take him in a new direction. Something could happen in the meantime that could take him in a different direction. Okay.
Does he have a feeling or an intention to that right now?
So yes.
Yes.
But it's a wish and an emotional desire.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily getting it's a given, because some other things could take them off the track.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. That's good to know. Very good.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on, Rich.
I don't think I've seen, I usually watch your shows, like especially your deep dives and most of the shows you put out. I don't think unless I missed one, and I'm sorry if I missed it, but the media. I know you listen to Phil sometimes, and he says that needs to come down, and he knows there's other things that need to come out first. But do you see that coming out soon? The media getting shifted, we'll call it. I'm trying to be very careful with what I say, so I sound like I'm stuttering, but I'm just trying to be careful with what I say, as you guys know.
We all got to be really careful. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so 6 and the moon. Okay, well, it's largely been infiltrated, by the way, and it's just been hidden that it is. So it's already, they're peeking out from the veil with weird stories and stuff. So yeah, it's half and half as it is. It's already been largely, yeah. So they're doing it in the coming down is doing it the slow, careful way. And they've been doing everything this way, and it's frustrating the heck out of everybody, but it's really happening. Really, it's like this weird mudslide of
Yes.
stuff. It can't be stopped but it's not going in the, they're not just going to rip the Band-Aid off, like, unfortunately, like they're doing it, like I said, so yes, it's absolutely coming down,
Mhm.
but they're doing it in a way that's really creative and really sort of subtly, all of a sudden, one day it's saying this, and then over about a week it's saying the exact opposite. But and then people will be like, what? Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, because humans are so brainwashed, right, by the media, that they have to do it in a way that isn't gonna turn everybody into cognitive dissonance zombies. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but in my day job and in day-to-day life, I feel like people are kind of crazy. Like I'm serious. Tom hears me complain, but I just feel like people are not themselves right now. There's just been so many instances where something happens and I'm like, what is happening right now with you?
Yeah.
Like, they're just not themselves. And I don't know if it's just the energy shifting or if it's something biological, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if your cards have any insight into that.
Yeah, it's revelations are occurring deep inside them, and they're feeling all mixed up about things and not ready maybe to entirely, so these are your family members, friends, and sort of what we're going to call the large group of normies that we all deal with. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Yeah, so they're having this card can be about revelations. It doesn't have to be external. Okay, so the tower we've been waiting for, so the moment or the event, I think, is happening inside people's head. Right, so all of these events that were predicted, I think literally every time I do cards on don't look like they're going to be that big of an event that they said that it would. None of it always looks diffused in the cards, but the real event goes on in people's minds. So they're getting, whether they like it or not, these things have been planted in their heads, and the white hats did it. They're doing the same tricks the bad guys were doing. Okay, they've been planting stuff with movies, and they've been doing the same thing. Okay, because that's what works, unfortunately, on humans.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if somebody gets mad about it, well, like find a better way to deal with a demonic force that rules the whole world. Figure that one out. Okay,
Yeah.
I think it's the only way they could do it. So they've been planting these, and it's like it's going off in their minds. So I think I think they are kind of, their minds are getting blown, and then they don't know what to do with it, so they act weird.
I think I'm a magnet for it right now too. I don't know if you guys have been experiencing this, because maybe I do, maybe I don't really play into that, or at least I try not to, but I don't know. Maybe I feel like it's just, I'm a magnet for it lately, and I'm trying to just like be gone. I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't hang out with anybody who isn't what we're doing, or I just zip up because I don't work a day job or anything. I just do this 24/7.
You're lucky.
So yeah, I don't have to be out there, and I am shocked the odd time I have to bump into people in stores and stuff, and they're just being goofs. But I'll usually blurt something out really obviously, like where my philosophy comes from, and they just run, they run away.
You said you're a magnet, right? So the magnet comes to 93, comes to,
that's funny.
and 93 is a good number for you. So and Janine, you were talking about the event in people's minds. That's really amazing, actually, because the event is 66. The event comes to 99, which comes to ascension. And you were showing that card earlier about judgment, because judgment is also 99 ascension. So the whole thing of it's happening in people's minds is, wow, incredible. Do you think then that we are going to see something globally, or it will be just individual ascension, or do you think there'll be kind of a connecting thing that we all witness together, or will it literally be you know, the most of the work will be done within people's minds.
Okay, and we might have to end it on that one because I gotta. meet
Oh
some
yeah,
folks.
okay, okay. I had one little question about Elon just after, if we get time, but if not,
Okay.
that's okay.
Okay, so we're gonna look at, is there going to be a world sort of shattering
Yes.
situation that everyone can see? Okay,
Is there going to be a party event that everyone can go, hey, you know, and kind of come together and realize what's been going on?
okay, so that's a whole different question, because first I think the awareness thing has to happen, then the party,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because the awareness thing could shake things up so bad that there's no time to party. You're all just surviving through it, and
Right.
with everybody who's just overnight had to come to the realization that their whole world is completely different, which is not going to be fun, by the way.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so it looks like they're trying to make it less devastating.
Okay.
So they're working on, and I've been getting that all along. Like every time you hear all those fear porn, all those videos, everybody sends you that are like the title, like you wouldn't even watch it because of the title. I don't even know why people send me, like they'll send me something that, okay, the end of the world, and there's no way out of this. And
Yeah.
like the whole title spells out the
Yeah.
complete opposite of my philosophy and what I've been saying. And
Mhm.
somebody sends me that video and says, well, what do you think of this? It's like, what do you think I think of that?
Exactly.
I think
Exactly.
that's fear. I
Yeah.
think that's what we're not creating. Okay. And I'm not saying valid concerns aren't, but if you put a title like that on something, you are literally clickbaiting for fear
Yes.
people. Like, and you are encouraging people to be fearful. So I don't agree with people that even title things like that.
Yeah.
Like, give me a break, right? They got to have at least something, a way out in your title, right? So people can think differently. But anyway, this card's saying they've been really working hard on not having it. So we have an earth-shattering sort of event that shakes the whole world. Not to say that they won't. I think we can expect military though.
Okay.
Something, but they're going for a more subtle, for some, I don't know how they're going to do it, but this says, and that's a secretive card, so it's still a secret exactly what it'll be, but they're going for more subtle kind of ways of white hats coming out and surrender, like getting the governments to surrender. They're going to do it in a more subtle way, like maybe on the, like I think a lot of them are puppeted, like that's what I'm believing. So I think they're going to do it in a more subtle way. So you don't have masses of people thinking that somebody just took out their government and started a war. Do you know what I mean? Like it's going to be wild. Okay. That's going to be wild. And I feel like there's a possibility of an event that could be really transformative, that's more outer world or off-worlder type version. So this would be like galactic helpers showing up to help people, but this could occur again in people's minds. So this could be even energy sent so people can handle the truth better.
Yeah.
Right. So it may not happen literally like those events that have been described. They look like they've been trying to, they being, I think, the Alliance and the White Hats working together, whatever that is, right? Some people say the Alliance and the White Hats are two separate things. Other people say they're one and the same. However it works, because I don't know exactly. It feels like those powers that be that are working on the behalf of humans feel like they're trying to make it a softer landing than it otherwise would have been.
Okay, got you. Can we ask you one real quick about Elon? So I feel that Elon is working with President Trump. Is that the case? And I guess the second part of that question is he likely to acquire any more social media or other big kind of media companies that will make a big change to the landscape?
Yeah, he's definitely working with Trump and or the White Hats or the Alliance or all of the above. He's working with those guys. And I don't think he's like, I think he has his own sort of agendas and powers as well. Like, you know, that he's putting forward. He has he seems to have a lot of clout too.
Yes.
Interesting. Probably, I don't know. connected to his background and all the money he has in it, et cetera, or at least the reputation of all the money he has. I think they're using him though. They're using him to slowly, but like they're using him to, so I think they're giving him these missions.
Yes.
To go and do these things. Yeah. And yeah, he looks like he'll probably be, so the Twitter thing's going to take time, but it's the beginning of the end for the social medias. The way they are anyway, the way they are. He might end up being a front for buying up a couple more for sure.
Okay.
But I always get that he's just the front. There's a whole bunch of people behind him.
Okay. Did you always feel, you've probably done a lot of reading, have you always felt that he's always been on like the good side, even as maybe as an independent, but has he always been good?
No.
Okay.
I don't get he was like party substance guy, you know what I mean? Which would make him not, you couldn't really work with him. No,
Yeah.
I didn't get that, but I got that he, dabbled in whatever suited his agendas. He's pretty independent thinking from what I get. And, but he's now really aligned with the good guys.
Okay. Did you ever get anything about him being an off-worlder? Is he like an alien or anything like that?
Yeah, he's got all kinds of energies there. Yeah, you bet. I even get he goes off world somewhere.
Okay.
And spends time. So I think he's really mixed with all kinds of things, and he actually spends time here and there.
Mars, maybe. Jordan Peterson, a Canadian, said once, he said, he's an alien. And I was like, no.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Janine. It's always a pleasure.
Okay.
And God bless. And where can people can find you at Sending Ravens and Tarot by Janine. So go over. I'll put the links below.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be doing a lot more with Jean-Claude too. We're doing a lot. So Beyond Mystery
over there as well. And then Rachel at Writeside Blonde. I'll put the link in below as always. And then here at Psych.Club, sign up, subscribe. It helps all three of us if you subscribe to our channels. And also the Tom Numbers Show. So I'll be interviewing more well-known guests and doing the numbers. So, all right, everyone. Thanks a lot, Janine. God bless. Thanks, Rachel. God bless. See you both soon.
Later, guys.
Bye.